Hello, this is Sue from dragoncreations.co.uk, and today we're going to do an alcohol ink trinket bowl. Oh, and just to remind you, we have a Facebook group, and it's Dragon Creations Everything Resin. So please join us and post your pictures. It would be lovely to see them. Right, numbers. I mixed up 50 grams, which is 26A, 24B, and that's clear, and that's a 1-to-1 resin, and I'm just gonna, it's a very thin amount, so I'm just gonna start it off in the petals, just so that we get all the petals filled. And then do a general pour. Just take your time so you don't get too many bubbles. And I always pour on top of what I've just put down. And that should also help stop bubbles. So we'll scrape it all out. There you go, 50 grams is just enough to give it a light covering. And this is my I'd say 15 centimetre flower mould. There we go. Give it a quick wipe so I don't get sticky. And then we'll go in with debubbly. Don't let the flame touch your resin, because that can scorch it. So it's just lightly brushing over the top to get rid of those pesky little monsters. One more. Doesn't want to light now. Come on. There we go. Okay. Now put your lighter down and don't use it again for a little while, because we're going to be using alcohol inks. Right, I'm going to be using Let's Resin Dark Magenta, Let's Resin Magenta, and Let's Resin Yellow. Right, how do we want to do this? So, right, I'm going to go now. I'm going to go around the outside in each petal first, because it will pull away. Sorry, I haven't shaken it. I should have done that beforehand, I know. Give it a quick wipe so there's no residue of another one on there. Right, so into my petals first, really, really close to the edge. Can either be touching, because as I say, the ink will pull away. And if your ink stops coming out, tip your bottle back up, and then it should come out again easily. There. Right, I'll leave the lid off that one for the moment because we will be coming back to it, I think. Right, now I'm going to go in, actually no, now I'm going to go in with my yellow and do the middle. Again, wipe my nozzle off just before I start. And we'll put 2 in the middle, 3 in the middle. So that one spread quite nicely. And now I'll go in with my magenta, but I'm going to put it really close to the dark magenta and let it find its way to the middle. Okay, so what I'm hoping is you've got dark petals on the outside and quite a bright middle. So I'll just let that settle for a minute. Oh, I can see a bubble. That's annoying. I missed one. Let's see if I can scoop it out. There, it's on the surface now. But don't go in with a flame. Oh, I forgot to say, sorry, my Sinker White is Deco Rom Cupcake. And it's in a needle nose bottle, just because it's easier to control. And I've been shaking it, and make sure that you don't, it's hard to see in a bottle with white. Just make sure there's no pigment stuck to the side or the bottom. So when you shake it, it should come away clear and you can see, hopefully you can see the liquid in the bottle. It's hard to see in a white bottle. Right, again, I'm going to start on the outside because it will start to pull away, and I'll go straight into my petals with 2. Because I do want those petals to be quite defined. Let's Resin inks are brilliant, but they do pull away. So you might have to go back in with your inks. Put one there as well because it's missed it slightly. Oops. And on the table, as usual. There. Okay, just let that settle for a minute. Now I'll go in the middle, but again I'll go 2. And by 2 I'm just putting the white on directly itself really. So I'm just going 1, 2, 1, 2 in the same space. Okay, we'll leave that to settle for a minute. Now go into the middle. That's it. Right, now the waiting starts. Again, don't go in with a torch, just leave it to do its thing for the moment. And set a timer. I've set mine for 40 minutes. Now after 40 minutes when we come back, it will be a little bit stringy so we can make patterns in it. You might find that you need to go back in with your inks. If you do, go back in with your inks if you find you've got negative space or you're not happy with what's happened, and then go back in with your sinker. So I'm quite happy with what it's doing at the moment, and if I do go back in, I will, when we come back to drawing it, I'll show you where I've gone back in. So I'm going to set my timer, cover this over and set my timer. Right, so the timer's just gone off. So now's the time we can draw in it, so we'll test it. It's nice and stringy. Okay, I didn't go in with any more inks or any more white because I was quite happy with the pattern it made. So I'm gonna do a flower. First of all, I'm gonna pull out. No, first of all, I'll go in on each petal. So I'm just gonna literally, I'm not touching the bottom of the mould. I'm just dragging my stick through the inks. And I will wipe off each time because I don't want the petals on the outside to get muddied. So we'll do a definite petal shape, just make it a little more defined. And then I'm going to probably pull out every other petal. Really stringy. So even though it's got the shape of a flower at the moment, it's only on the outside, so that's why I'm pulling the petals in to give it a more defined flower. So you can spend a bit of time drawing in your inks and getting it how you want it. Just lightly drag your inks and you'll end up with some ink on the end of your stick. Just wipe it off. I think this is the last one to go in. Right, Now I will swirl. So again, I'm not touching the bottom, I'm just giving it a nice swirly whirly. And then I shall, you've got these little, I don't know what to call them, raises. So what I'll do is I'll go into, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, yeah. So I'll go into that one, and from the middle, because we're not going to touch the bottom, I'm just going to bring that out and drag that petal out. So again, I'll do that with this one. Just going to drag that petal all the way to the edge through the colours. So this one. So take all the colours with you. That was a big stringy one. Just sort of eye line where you're going, so you know that you can get a nice straight line. That's if you want a straight line. There, so it's just giving it a little bit more definition, and then I'll go back in the middle and give it another quick swirly whirly. That's it. Okay, that's all the drawing I want to do in it. Now, because all the alcohol's dissipated, I'll just move my inks out of the way. So now I can give it a good debubbly, especially where we've disturbed it drawing in it. Oh, what's that? Foreign object. So we're just brushing the flame over the top, so it's not touching the heat, it's just getting rid of any of the bubbles that we've made drawing in it. Okay, right, I will cover this and it will take about 7 hours. Actually no, it'll be under that. Let me think. It'll probably take about 4.5 hours so I can pour on it again. So what you need to be able to do is, when you test it, so put your stick in it, and if your stick comes away clean, then you're fine, you can pour on it. It might still be a bit sticky, but so long as it's not going to go, I don't know how to exactly explain this. What we don't want to happen is when we pour on it, we don't want any of it to sink, but we don't want this to be fully set because we still need it to be flexible. So you'll have to test your resin in about 4 hours to see if you're happy that it's not going to sink through. It should be fine after 4 hours to pour on. So I will cover this, set a timer, and then come back. But yeah, 4 hours. I mean, you can demould after 8, so 4 hours should be fine to pour on, and that will be the next stage. So I'll set a timer and then we shall come back. Right, this is set enough now, so just test it. Yeah, so it's set enough for me to pour on. It was just over 4 hours. I kept checking, so we need it to be flexible still, but we need it to be set to be set so we can pour on it. So again, I'll go into the petals first. Sorry, I mixed up 60 grams. Oh, cool. 60 grams, which was 31A and 29B. Mine's a 1-to-1 resin. Then I added my homemade purple, which I made by just throwing blues, reds, black, a bit of white, and a tiny bit of pink as well, actually. Right, that's my homemade purple, so don't be afraid to make your own micas. And I also added not even, oh, where's my spoon? I've got new spoons. These are short cocktail stirrers, 4.8 inches on Amazon, and it wasn't even, it was like literally dipped it in and pulled it out, the amount of glitter that I added, just to give it a little bit of sparkle behind the petals. So 60 grams, again it's making it very thin, because what we'll do now is we'll put this aside, and this is going to take about 6.5 hours, roughly. I mean, it depends what country you're in and what your weather's like. But what you're looking for is you need to be able to pull your mould away from your side. And as soon as you can do that, and it's still bendy, then put it in your bowl. So I'm in Britain, and the weather's warmed up here, so it should take about 6 to 7 hours until I can demould this and get it into a bowl. Sorry, rushing my words. So yeah, as I say, as soon as you can pull the mould away from the side and it's not tacky at all, then it's time, and it's still bendy, that's a big point as well, then it's time to put it into your bowl to shape it. And if you have trouble shaping it, you can always heat it up with your heat gun, or put it on your warming mat for half an hour, or put it in some hot water. That would also help make it flexible. So long as it's not fully set, there are ways round of making it bend. There. Right, so give this a debubbly. And I also haven't filled this mould anywhere near to the top, because we want it thin so we can bend it. Yeah, so I shall cover this and set my timer and keep an eye on it. So after 5 hours I'll start checking on it, but it should be about 6 to 7 hours. As I say, it depends on the weather, the temperature of your room, but as long as you can pull it away from the sides and it's not tacky, then you should be fine to bend it. So I shall see you when mine's ready to go into the bowl. Right, I've just demoulded this, but be very careful because it could still be tacky on the sides. That's why I've got my gloves on, because I don't want to put fingerprints on it. So it's still very bendy. I've sprayed my bowl with mold release. So, oh, I've got a visitor, obviously. So now I'm just gonna, which way round? No, I want it that way round, don't I? I had to think which way round I was going to put it in. So I'm just going to manipulate it slightly so it doesn't end up with puckering. And then I will put it in my bowl ever so gently. Make sure that mould releases all the way up the sides. It's not sliding, hang on a minute. I might need to put a bit more mould release in. Oh no, that's fine. And then just gently push it into the shape you want it. Again, it might be better to do with this with gloves or even a bit of cloth, just so you don't leave fingerprints all over it. Yes, Mo, we can hear you. And then once it's in your shape, I've got some cloth and I'm going to put that on, and I have a great big jug of water that fits nicely inside my bowl, just for a little bit of weight. And then I shall put this to one side so you can see. Then I shall put this on my heat mat, which will come up through the bowl because the bowl's ceramic, and it will help it cure as well, and it will cure in that shape. So I shall put this on my heat mat now, and then we shall have a debowling at the end of the video, and we can see what happens. Right, here it is. I've just demoulded it and it's all finished, and I'm really chuffed with that. I love the way that the purple has gone sort of up the sides. I didn't intend to make a flower, and it's just the way that it happened, but I am so chuffed with it. Unfortunately, the camera doesn't do the colours justice. I will take it outside so you can see the colours. But as I was looking at this, I've decided I'm going to do it again. But I'm going to do it in blues, and I'm going to put it on a white background because I haven't done a white background with inks for a very long time. So, yeah, I'm going to try a white background. So, hopefully you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.